Attention. Oh, perfect. Attention, this will be a virtual meeting of the Marinwood CSD Board of Directors pursuant to Executive Order N 2920, issued by the Governor of the State of California. There will not be a public location for participating in this meeting. Any interested member of the public can participate telephonically or via internet by utilizing the web link or dial-in information printed on this agenda. Instructions on how to make a public comment during the meeting. All points in the meeting, when the meeting chair requests public comment, members of the public participating in the live meeting, either via internet or telephone, shall indicate their desire to speak. If participating via internet, please click the raise hand feature located within the Zoom application screen. If connected via telephone, please dial *9. Call to order, roll call of the directors.
Board President Shea.
I am here.
Director Kilkenny.
Here.
Director Oyserman.
Here.
Director Ruggieri.
Here.
And I'm gonna put Director Case as absent.
You don't want to call his name and wait.
Director Case.
And wait.
Director Case. Bueller. Director Case. No, he's absent.
Okie dokie. I'd like to adopt the agenda. Any changes? Shall we go ahead then, Eric?
Yeah, you're gonna adopt as presented.
Mhm.
As presented, no changes appears.
Great, you can move on.
The consent calendar. Draft minutes of the regular meeting of July 13th, 21, and bills paid. Any questions? Hearing none. I would like public comment.
Sure, 1 second, please. Stephen.
Stephen? Hello?
We can't hear you, Stephen. Is there a way to message him?
No, he's on. He's just, it's
Oh.
something on his end. He's not muted or anything.
Okay. Should we? Give him a couple more minutes and then
Yeah, he's
the protocol
there.
is-
He is allowed to talk. I'm not sure why there is not a, why it is not working, but.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you
Okay.
go.
Yes.
You got me now?
Yep.
Okay, great. Yeah, so as you know, sometimes there's technical problems here. It would be most helpful if there was an informal sound check before the meeting starts, so we don't have this type of delay. Anyhow, I just had a quick question on the consent calendar. I've asked this before and I don't quite understand. We're buying lunches, I guess about $2,300 a pop. I don't know whose lunches those are, but can you explain to me, is that part of the tuition, part of what's included in the summer camps? And, you know, it's a big expense. So I'm just wondering if it's quite frankly, if it's necessary, or perhaps that's just for staff lunches. I don't know. Can anyone answer that?
Yeah, we can. Bill, you want us to answer that? I'd probably defer it to Luke, but I'm happy to answer it as well.
Sure, go ahead, Eric.
Okay. Luke, do you want to?
Yeah, I can cover that one.
Great.
Yes, Stephen, and the board, we offer a lunch option for campers taking our program. We have an agreement set up with the Marinwood Market, and if parents would like to pay for lunches to the Marinwood Market, we have an agreement where we go and pick up lunches from the market each day. The parents pay for, and then we deliver them to the campers that opt for that option. So it is what you're seeing in the consent calendar is just that transaction. The parents are paying for that. Marinwood is not incurring cost for that program. We are merely offering that as a service to our program, and that's the way the money is changing hands. So that's
Okay, so one other question too is I know you've been taking money for the punch passes, and where is that? How is that revenue captured on the in the bills paid or revenue? What's that called?
It's captured, it's not in the bills paid because it's not a bills pay. It's a revenue, and it's captured within the appropriate account on the GL,
And what is the appropriate account?
pool operations.
So pool operations is just kind of a broad, everything from food to punch passes and that sort of thing. Reason I ask that is because it seems like that seems like a loose category, and probably a sizable amount of money is generated through that one account. Is that correct?
I don't have the numbers in front of me. I wouldn't necessarily consider it a sizable amount of money, and I certainly wouldn't consider it loose.
All right, should we move forward?
Okay, well, I mean, certainly if you want to report on business operations, you need accuracy in reporting. So, okay, no problem.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, I need a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I motion to approve the consent calendar with the draft minutes of our meeting on July 13th, 2021, and bills paid, invoices 5559 to 5658.
Second.
Tiff,
President Shea,
aye.
Director Kilkenny,
Aye.
Director Iserman,
Aye.
and Director Ruggieri.
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you. On to public comment, open time for items not on the agenda.
1 second, please.
All right, can you hear me now?
Stephen,
Can you hear me now, or?
thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yep. Great. Good evening, everybody. Beautiful evening. And tonight's another night where we get to shape the future of our community. What's your dream for our community? How do you see us evolving? Yeah, we're going to have a building coming up, but how are we going to improve our facilities? How are we going to improve our programs? What are we going to do to make this beautiful community more beautiful and livable? I was up camping this week or this month at Salt Point Campground and above Jenner, and had a really wonderful experience in their woods. And I did send a message to both Luke, Eric, and Bill, and maybe someone else. I'm not 100% sure. They have a handicap access path that runs along the rugged coast, and it's gorgeous. And I hope in your view of what Marinwood could be, that one of the things that you you also share is a vision of inclusiveness for our parks and our programs. And we don't really quite have that now. Our play structures are not accessible. They're really outside of code. They need to be brought up to code. And of course, I'm going to mention the access point on the Quietwood Drive is way out of code as far as what a accessible ramp is needed, so people can go up and down that ramp. We have a great community member that has recently developed some health issues and now is confined to a wheelchair and a walker. And it would just be really very nice if we could, get this project done so he could access this point. We could have more park benches. We have to think in terms of our full community, not just the kids playing around in our summer camps. So anyhow, that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anybody else, Eric?
No.
Okay. District matters. We have E1 fiscal year 2020, 2021 year-end profit and loss financial statements pre-audit. Eric.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. I tried to give everybody again a detailed lead-in report to some of this. I'll try to keep it brief over some of the highlights. Again, I do want to reiterate that this is financial statements solely represent operating revenue and expenditures for the fiscal year placed against the original operating budget as approved by the board. The data does remain subject to change given any adjustments that might be identified during the annual fiscal audit, which is engaged. And as soon as we get a couple things, we'll actually get started with. Obviously, the COVID-19 continues to impact everything. We had to be prepared to pivot several times throughout the year, and the rec department, in terms of programs and offerings, certainly pivoted. The fire department certainly wasn't immune to making accommodations for this, and neither was the parks department. That said, I think all of our staff did an incredibly admirable job navigating through what was an ever-changing series of adjustments. So my hat is really off to all of them. Through all of that, the district did conclude the fiscal year with a strong financial performance. Our cash balance as of June 30th in the general fund was approximately $5.88 million. The fiscal year, our total revenue exceeded our operating expenses by approximately $990,000. Compared to what was budgeted, which I believe was somewhere closer to let me take a quick look. I apologize, I don't have this right in front of me. It was budgeted to be just under $200,000. Again, we are very conservative with our budget, as especially at the time the budget was approved, there was just a huge amount of unknown. Some of the items of note within that 990 revenue over expenses, keeping in mind that our ad valorem tax revenue did exceed our budgeted forecast by about $189,000. We were very conservative in how we projected out tax revenues, with having very little information at the time as to how this pandemic would affect our ad valorem property taxes. As was evidented towards the end of the year, it really didn't have a strong effect, and we continued to have sizable gains there. Through Q3, the district had realized about $21,000 in interest revenue. Since this report has been published, we've actually got Q4 interest. which I want to say is only around $2,000. So this is going to come in under, and this is due to the county pivoting to a very conservative investment strategy, given the volatility of the markets. In point and reference, we doubled that amount of interest last year while having significantly less in our general fund. So it just kind of is a market performance. Capital reserves designation was budgeted at 100,000. However, that is not accounted for in here because capital reserves aren't actually an expenditure. It's just a movement of funds. So with that 990, I would take down 100,000 that says that should go towards a capital reserve as designated by the board. And actually just a reserve. It's not necessarily a capital reserve. A couple other items of note within the P&L, we did it just in terms of proper accounting, book some account receivables and account payables. One of them was for a strike team reimbursement. This is when our firefighters go out on out of county assignments for wildfire. That overtime incur there was just over $93,500. We also had booked a receivable in the amount of $13,259 for overtime of our staff working in Centerville that gets reimbursed by Centerville, and a paramedic incentive reimbursement of just over $17,000. What I can tell you is literally yesterday, we actually received payment for all of that. So that was booked as a receivable as of June 30th and actually has been received. We also booked an account payable for chief officer services of 51,093. We have received the invoice and payment has been processed. So those have been moved off of the balance sheets and into the actual performance. That's more of an audit thing. Additionally, slightly over $527,000 in unearned revenue for summer camp and pool fees were received last fiscal year for dates occurring this fiscal year. So as such, that revenue gets booked as deferred revenue. And on July 1st, it is booked as revenue for the fiscal year that we are in now. Just a few notes on the capital expenditures there that I gave you, as well as some of the planned capital expenditures that were not completed for various reasons and have been carried over to the 21-22 fiscal year. I can tell you the portable generator, actually, we were finally able to get that. Those have been on back order due to supply chain issues that came in late last month. Some of these replacement items are booked because we are expecting the needed replacement, but we're not going to replace it until the other equipment actually fails. And as of now, it's still working. We moved the top coat applications to the tennis courts more for a seasonality and without having to shut down the tennis courts. So that'll happen this year. And then some of the equipment that we are looking at there, especially for our parts department, will happen after the maintenance facility is completed and we have a proper place to store it. In regards to some of the rec financials, we certainly, planned and budgeted for a full year preschool program and after school program. However, given the state of the pandemic and the coronavirus, we actually only ran a half a year of a preschool program that didn't start until January 2021. And the after school program served a relatively small number of kids and kind of came and went as schools opened and closed. And then we had budgeted for no pool operations. I imagine Savon and Bill will probably remember this. And then as things changed, we were able to open up the pool. The other challenge, obviously, with all of this is just looking at the seasonality of everything. As has been explained with prior budgets, we budget out based on the upcoming season. However, the upcoming season actually spans multiple fiscal years. So when you look at it over a course of several fiscal years, these all even out, but to look at it and budget it strictly by a fiscal year makes no sense when the programs themselves span multiple fiscal years. And then I have other department specific summary notes after the financials. Again, in summary, I'm very pleased with staff and their ability to manage, not only the programs, but the associated finances throughout what has been easily an incredibly challenging year. And my hat is off to all of them. That said, we're not out of the woods. It is not unreasonable to expect healthcare costs to rise accordingly and directly impacting our OPEB UAL. The global investment markets continue to fluctuate. That's going to impact the pension UAL.
Yep.
I'm certainly not in a place where I would say I would veer from my conservative strategy of how we should be budgeting and looking at the expenditures and revenues and remaining conservative with the knowledge that if we exceed them, hooray, but let's set expectations at a reasonable level and then do everything we can to exceed them, which I think has been the result the last several years.
No question at all. Eric, the 186,000 increase, that was kind of a surprise.
Yeah, in ad valorem taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know it's a while back, Bill, but we talked a lot about this as I was kind of looking at projections, and I scaled back my increased projections just
Right.
because we were in such an uncertain time. Not to mention, the stock markets were getting hammered then, and those markets absolutely affect interest rates. They affect loan rates. They affect property turnovers, and it's the property turnovers that are the biggest driver to your ad valorem property taxes. Right. Well, I'm not an expert in all of this, but I think one of the things that we did see was people fleeing the bigger cities and moving into suburbs, and people leaving California to move to other places, and that opened up sales in Marin. And this isn't exclusive only to houses in Marinwood. Ad valorem, follows a formula that goes across the county.
No, I'm just for curiosity, going into the current fiscal year. I'd love to keep that conservative bent going forward, knowing that we're still going to have sales and prices are going to keep going up, and I just don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, and Bill, I'll be honest with you, we certainly did that. I'm just kind of looking at the numbers right now. The main line is obviously that very first line, which is the property tax current secured. Last year, we received a total of 1.78, and we actually budgeted 1.79 for this current fiscal year. So we really are still remaining very conservative in this.
Okay.
And again, when we make the other budgets, we don't have all of the numbers. We didn't get final property tax numbers till, closer towards the end of July, because they continue to trickle in, even though they're posted with an effective date of 6/30.
Okay.
So
Thank
to
you.
your point, we're there, Bill. We're staying and remaining conservative on this
Awesome.
by all stretches.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anybody? Hearing nothing. Anything
now.
from the Savon?
I was just saying not right now, no.
Okay. Anything from the public?
Yeah, 1 second, please.
Hi. So I totally agree with President Shea. It's a good business practice to be modest in the projections. In every projections, though, we really have two components in our budget. One is largely knowable and predictable, and that is our taxes. And then the second is our business operations. And it seems to me that we can do better in our business operations. I'm not 100% certain of that because we really don't have a clear, I don't believe we don't have a clear understanding of our revenues and our costs, because everything has been kind of meshed together. So in terms of reporting, I would like to see, better reporting on business operations. For example, it occurs to me with these punch passes, there's really you know, what is the budget for, what's the target revenue for punch passes? Do we have an amount? What's the target revenue amount for pool rentals, picnic table rentals? And when we open up our other facilities, what are our revenue targets for those? Though that really should be thought of and managed separately, so we can do a better job of improving operations. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Stephen. Anybody else, Art?
No.
Okay, how about the district manager report?
Sure. Quick update. The big one on the park maintenance facility building permit has been issued. As I put in here, not a real reason as to why the review took so long, especially given the outcome of the review resulted in no changes to the plans, to the building construction plans as submitted. Regardless, the permit has been issued. We did have a final pre-construction meeting with the builder, the architect, the structural engineer, and myself. Construction has already gotten going. They're beginning with the grading and some of the other pre-work for the site. Everything is rolling, permits in hand, and we are moving forward finally. Goats grazing on district open space. You probably saw the goats that were out there. This has been concluded at the last meeting. I told you we still had some uncertainty if we were going to be able to get goats out on Grasshopper Hill. After further review by the goat handlers, they were able to get them out there as well. Now that all of that is concluded, we're kind of back to looking and planning on some of the handwork and physical work that'll happen out there. All of this was as described in the presentation that was given last March. Again, included a link in the report for that for anybody who's interested in watching it. One thing I do want to bring up is, and right now I don't have any further information on this, the possible return to in-person meetings. As it is currently written, executive order in 2920 is issued by the governor of the state of California, is set to expire on September 30th. That still gives the governor's office some level of time to decide if it wants to be extended or not. In the event that it is not extended, we will be going back to live personal meetings. In the event that it is extended, then we would most likely stay here with remote meetings. Obviously, you know, we're experiencing quite a surge in COVID right now, especially with the Delta variant. I personally wouldn't be surprised based on some of the conversations I have had with professionals in the health field and the public health director and what's coming out of the county if the governor did extend this, but you know, that very well may happen the final week of September. So that said, we might be back to in-person meetings in October, or we might not. Just we'll follow the state's lead on that. And then just one other little item of note, while it doesn't completely impact us and we don't have a lot of or any authority over the building of it, in speaking with the civil engineer for the proposed Oak Senior Living Facility, it does seem like that project is back on the wheels again, and ideally they are starting to move forward again and actually getting that facility up, built, and operational. There is some small impact of that to the district in that it would be annexed into our area, and there would also be potential future tax revenue implications. But that said, the district has no authority over the approval of this facility as a whole. Otherwise, if there's any questions on my report here, I'm happy to answer them.
No, I'm curious about the Oaks. It's been an ongoing 30-year process. We're finally getting some movement on that again, because they were going to start moving. That permit got pulled a couple of years ago, I believe. And all of a sudden it ground to a halt, and now it's back on again.
Yeah, my understanding on it grounding to a halt had to do with a couple things, but the main issue was the developer of this project is not also looking to be the operator of the facility itself. They had an operator on board, but that operator pulled out. I don't know if that was pandemic related or not. I just know what I've been told, and I'm just kind of speaking secondhand here. My understanding is they have an operator on board again, and they are looking to move forward and actually break some ground here before too long. But I know that they're kind of going over a couple of revisions. I'm actually set to meet and speak with them tomorrow. As they like, because this will abut directly up to district open space as well. And there are some mitigations that were explained to the board several years ago when the developer came in, that they have to replant some native grassland that's going to be disturbed. And they had asked if it would be possible to plant it on our land. I don't know that that's still their plan, but I'll have some other, either way, it really wouldn't have much impact on us. And I'll have more information on that tomorrow.
On the curiosity though, is annexed into Marinwood as if it's not part of Marinwood currently, that land?
No, it is that land. Yes. To give you a simple answer, it is within our what's known as a sphere of influence.
Right.
So we would be responsible like for fire service and things along those lines. Yes, but not everything that's within there necessarily gets annexed into Marinwood. Our sphere of influence is a large circle. If you look at CSA 13, that has nothing to do with us. So it's that type of thing. But part of this development is it's annexed in, and we would have some of the responsibilities for park rec fire streetlights.
Right. I remember because the Oaks and the 28 housing
Correct.
units that are going in were all part of the singular project at one time, and then it was split.
Right,
Okay.
right. And that's also when the district acquired that large swath of open space between those two things, the kind of hill behind Elvia Court,
Right.
because part of the planning agreement was they would give that land to the district to be preserved as open space.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Anybody else?
Where can people read more about the Oaks Senior Living Facility if we get asked?
I don't know, but I'll see if I can find out some of those answers tomorrow.
Okay, maybe we can also link that so that
Yeah, I'm
minimizes
sure.
the amount that you get asked that you can't answer because it's not our.
Right. Yeah. And I would also assume that if you go onto the Marin County website and then specifically into the planning department and then specifically into current projects, that there's most likely a link for both that project as well as the residential development that's happening within
Okay,
there.
Mhm. Cool.
all right,
There wasn't one time. I haven't looked at it lately,
okay.
but all current projects are listed in there, at least as they're going through planning.
Would it make it easier for us and for our community if we created a link just to that so people don't have to go through multiple layers, since we do have less tech savvy people in our district?
Yeah, I can look at it. I don't have a natural place where that would go, say, on our website, because we don't have a lot of links,
Well,
say,
this-
if you
this
want
is-
county information.
This is posted, right?
What's
if you
that?
just-
Yes.
So then we could just highlight the Oak Senior Living Facility project and make that a link, possibly.
Sure. If they have one.
And then,
I really don't
and
know.
then we can just say it's linked. If you click on it, it's linked. If you
Sure.
have more questions on that link, there's who you can contact. I just want to make sure that it's clear to people what it is and that they get all their answers answered.
Yeah,
because
I
we
would
don't
make
know any
it.
more than what's on the website. So
I would make it clear to them that it's a project under the authority of the county, and those would be
Yeah.
the proper people to ask.
okay, because people
Anybody
deserve to know.
else? Anything from the public?
Yeah, 1 second.
Hi, I guess let's start with the Oaks project. I do recall that Irv Schwartz, who is the engineer on that project of some sort, I don't know exactly what his role was, but he had negotiated the extension of a walking path from our mini park, Marinwood Park, all the way down to the freeway. And that would be really wonderful. That would open up additional walking area for the public, as well as access to that open space behind that facility. So I would hope, Eric, that you kind of keep abreast of that project and just contact the developers and say, hey, we're looking forward to this when you're ready. We're all ears. But I think that would be a wonderful addition to our park. One of my big dreams is, and it's not really feasible at the moment, but is to have a contiguous walking path from the headwaters of Miller Creek all the way down to the bay. That would just be wonderful. Of course, it would entail crossing a bunch of public lands, but we should try to secure this when we can. Which brings up a second point, and I guess I'll wait to the recreation area as far as a bike policy and things we can do to enhance our recreational opportunities in our parks and open space. As far as other items, the park maintenance facility replacement project, it's disappointing that we don't have any information on the delay. I'm sure there's a reason for that delay, whether it's someone was out for, I don't know, maternity leave or what, but it's frustrating that there is absolutely no information because, it's costing us money, it's costing everybody money, and that's unfortunate. They say what you can't measure, you cannot manage. And it's frustrating that we don't have more specific information. And I guess the thing that kind of shocked me on this month's manager report was a disclaimer saying that this doesn't include everything that happened this month. Well, what does that mean? It means you're not writing it down or you're not communicating it. We'd like our manager to communicate with the public all the problems and all the successes during the month. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Anybody else, Eric?
No.
I guess not. Then we're on to fire department matters, and I believe the chief is not here tonight.
The chief is not here. He is on a family vacation.
Yay.
You got to go through the minutes first, though.
And to draft minutes of fire commission meeting. Are there any questions?
Nope. Anybody?
Can you open up to the public?
Kathleen, Darlene.
I was there, so no, I don't have any.
It went well.
It went well.
I guess anything from the public?
On the draft minutes of the fire commission.
Yep.
No.
Let's go on to the
Chief
chief's
report.
report and activity summary.
Yeah, again, the chief is not available today. I'm familiar with some of the things that are in his report. If there's some questions, I'm happy to field them the best I can, or I can certainly inform the chief of what questions might have been.
I see there's nice pictures of Lucas Valley Road at the turn.
They are doing a lot of work out there. I actually personally drove out there a couple weekends ago. They're breaking stuff apart, and they've got a timed stoplight out there as well. So
I was there today.
Yep, it's expect delays for a while if you go out that direction. But in the meantime, from the fire perspective, the chiefs also went out, or one of his designees, just to really make sure that, yes, the engine can maneuver through here. One of the problems is line of sight. And the way these lights are set up, you cannot see one of the lights that's stopping traffic in one direction from the other light stopping traffic. So it could potentially delay response if we got called in on a mutual aid out in that direction.
We did a lot of cutting of trees. You can definitely tell. So hopefully there won't be a need for fire to go out there.
Well, you get a lot of accidents out there.
Yeah,
A lot of accidents.
I know.
Okay. I have no questions other than that. If nobody else has any, I'll call for the public.
1 second, please.
Hi, so can you hear me?
Go ahead, Stephen.
Okay. So at the last meeting, we had our fire report, and I asked about a fatality that occurred, probably within a quarter mile of, or a half mile of our firehouse. This was the motor scooter that was hit by a deer, and a 63-year-old man was, I guess, found dead and cardiac arrest. All I knew at that time was what I had seen in the patch, and the chief promised to get some more detail, and unfortunately he didn't put it in there. What I'm interested in knowing is who was the responding agency. In the paper, it seemed to indicate it was the CHIP, which may have been there, but it made no mention of Marinwood Fire Department, and I'm kind of curious if they didn't respond, why didn't they? Were they occupied elsewhere? What happened? But anyhow, it's just kind of like a big mystery, and it was obviously a tragedy, and I just think we need a little bit of a report on that. I haven't seen the clearing that has been taking place under this new wildfire authority, and I really would like to see that. I did view something up in the Central Coast when I was camping, or the North Coast, and just a little anxious that we do this the right way. I'm sure that there's a will to do it the right way, but I just want to make certain that we are doing it in an environmentally responsible manner. So so basically I have a question for the chief that I'd still like answered regarding that fatality that happened near the firehouse, as well as a little bit more information on the clearing. So thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Anybody else from the public, Eric?
No.
Okay, the date of the next fire commission meeting is September 7th. On to Park and Recreation and Park Maintenance Activity Report.
Hello, everyone. Thanks, Bill.
Hey.
So, hi. So the big, the news in the rec department is just that we're on our final stretch, our final week of summer camp this week, and we're excited about that. It's been a really good summer, and we've run 4 2-week sessions, and this is a sort of a half session, just 1 week long to end the summer, and things have gone extremely well. And up until last week, we made it all the way through without any COVID drama, but we did end up with 2 COVID cases in our camp program last week that caused us to have to shut down 2 groups. We had one camper test positive, and one of our camp staff members in a different camp group test positive early in the week, or over the weekend, and which we found out about on Monday of last week. And so we closed those groups and contacted public health and took all the steps we needed to take, and got everybody all the messaging out and let all the camp parents know what was going on. And everyone was extremely gracious and for the most part, very understanding, although disappointed by the news. And overall, all of that went fine, and things are kind of back to normal this week. Thankfully, the timing worked out where all of the affected campers were able to return to camp this week, anyone that was signed up. So we're grateful that we didn't end up having to have people out for over 2 different weeks. And so
nobody else tested positive.
no, to our knowledge,
Okay.
there have not been any other positive test results from any of the camps that were any of those 2 cohorts, thankfully. So closing down the groups is how the system's supposed to work, and it's precautionary that we assume that any of the other campers in those groups may have been exposed, and so we close the groups down and have everyone stay home for up to 10 days, depending on if they get tested and get their test result back. So everything went the way it's supposed to go, and the system, we worked with the health department to follow all the steps. And we were hoping to get through the whole summer unscathed, like we did last year, but thankfully it was small and everyone is okay. All the affected campers are doing fine, so we're happy to report that, and looking to end this week with a in a strong way.
I
Catherine,
have
you
a
have
question.
Yeah.
Were refunds issued?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, everyone that was forced to stay home were issued refunds.
So we'll
And,
see all those checks or whatever expenditures next week, or next month, I mean, or do they go back on their credit card, or I'm just asking.
Some of the refunds were issued via credit card, and
Okay.
some will be issued via check, and those will show up in our
Bills
consent
paid.
calendar. Yeah, bills paid, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, and we were hoping to not have to deal with that, but we've had around 300 to 350 campers a week, not including staff here every week. So we've done pretty well getting through 9 weeks of summer, and so we're happy to be almost done though for that stand. So the staff's been great. Everyone was great that was helping us deal with this all, and everyone, the kids, the campers. The campers, the camp families, the staff, and everyone have been great with the guidelines and wearing their masks when indoors, and all of this has gone pretty smoothly, and it's been a really, really positive summer. So we're in spite of having a very dramatic week last week dealing with all this and making all the phone calls and turning people away at the beginning of camp. It all ended up, it's been a really positive summer, and we're very grateful for the staff and everyone, and how well it has transpired. And we're so glad we got to run camp this summer and get back to a much more normal version of camp than we had last year. So it's been great. So
Can I interject for a second,
Oh, yeah.
Luke? I actually want to just give Luke and his team some proper due credit, because they not only spent a lot of time communicating directly to the families involved, but the same days had email information go out to every camper's family, making sure that everybody was aware that, hey, this has happened. These are the steps that we took. And I just, communication is key, and kept everybody informed. So the fact that they were able to get the proper information, make the moves that they needed to make, and then, not only making direct phone calls and emails and everything else to the impacted camps, but to every single camp family that was in attendance. So kudos to Luke and his team for that. That was a lot of work.
Here.
Yeah, they did a great job.
thank you, Eric. Appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you.
And so in other news, the The pool season chugs along. We're still in our summer season for another week after this, and then we'll transition to the fall hours. The pool's been super busy this last few weeks with all of the warm weather, and we're so happy that we were able to open up some recreation swim hours every day. And the place has been just very popular. We've had a lot of families coming in on the weekends and the weekends, so that's been great. Private lessons have been pretty much completely booked all summer, and we've got lessons continuing into the fall. So this fall we'll continue to offer lap swim, recreation swim, private and semi-private swim lessons, water polo and lifeguard training, and we'll be open until October 8th, which is our normal closing date for the fall season. So that's all going very well, and we'll continue with that. And the weather's been great, and staffing's been great, so we're looking forward to continuing that. For as far as our classes and events for the fall, things are very up in the air right now. At the time I put this report together, we were working on our Marinwood review and had a lot of classes scheduled to be starting up in the next few weeks, as well as some events on the calendar. And just the events of this last week, not events specifically in Marinwood, but just across the country, and some of the health information coming out has thrown some things into question, and a lot of start dates are going to be postponed, and we'll kind of be announcing what's going to happen with our classes, and some of our events we'll have to rethink and see what's going to happen with those. I know the Lions Club had their car show scheduled in September, and that will now be postponed until next year, unfortunately. And so we're going to be playing it by ear like we have this last year and a half, and we'll continue to put information out as we finalize when certain programs and events will be able to take place. But we'll continue to work with the health department and see what is the best thing for our residents and our participants and our instructors, and see what programs make sense to offer and how we can offer those. Some of our indoor classes, like some of the exercise things, we're going to try to run outdoor versions of, as long as the weather permits, and we'll be sort of pivoting to try to make some of these things still happen. But we definitely are rethinking things right now. Yes, Yvonne.
So I found out from the district that the kids are going back without any cohorts or social distancing within the classroom. So I'm wondering what we're going to be doing. Are we offering the full gamut of aftercare? Because there's no need for cohorting. So
Yeah, our after school program will be pretty much back to normal as of right now. The kids will be wearing masks, and there will be a few considerations based on the current health guidance, but we will be offering our standard after school program this fall, as well as our preschool program. As of right now. We were planning on starting our indoor private rentals of the community center this October. I started to take reservations, and we're going to postpone that until further notice, and just keep we're paying attention to the health guidance on indoor events and what the recommendations are. And there's a lot of things that are coming out right now, and it's not clear exactly what is the right path, but we're going to wait to take reservations for now. And that's since I wrote this in my report, so things are changing very rapidly, and we're just trying to pay attention and make sure that we're being prudent and keeping everyone safe as best we can. So
should we update this on the website since it's posted, so people don't think that this information is correct?
Well, the website where people would probably go for most of their information on our classes and rentals and programs is going to be the recreation pages on there, which we are keeping updated and constantly changing.
I just want to make sure that we don't put information out there and then
Absolutely, yeah. So the website is our great resource for that, and we'll be continuing to keep things updated on there and putting emails out to the participants of those particular programs as best we can. So we'll keep everybody informed as we can. But yeah, the information seems to be changing a lot, and we'll keep updating as needed.
Okay.
On the parks maintenance side of things, staff just finished a project I did not list in my report, but we had a report of a broken open space fence. I believe that was Kernberry, that staff were able to get there pretty quickly and replace a fence. It wasn't a gate; it was just one of the fences leading to open space with an entryway. And they worked quickly to get put some new posts and new boards up this week, and it looks very nice. And they were able to get that done in about 2 days. So that was great. The old fence, it looked like it was like 40 years old or something, and it just deteriorated with over time. So the next one we hope will last a good 40 years. And so glad staff were able to get on that. We got a report a couple weeks ago of a dangling large tree limb in the fireman's group picnic area that was reported to us, I think, yeah, July 21st, in the area that people may be walking. And so we were able to get one of our tree contractors to come out there and take care of that. And the firefighters were able to get out and block the area off with caution tape to make sure no one walked and into that spot. And we were able to remove the hazard with that later that day without anyone being injured. So that was great that we were able to get on that. And that was a resident, or I'm not sure it was a resident, but it was someone walking the path. And we do rely on our many dog walkers and hikers that are able to alert us of different hazards in the area where we can't be everywhere seeing all of this at once. So I feel like that system worked well. We're able to get the word out, get that taken care of, and keep that place, that area safe. Staff have been busy repairing a big irrigation leak over at the Fireman's Hill next to the firehouse a couple weeks ago. That it was an area just riddled with tree roots growing into our pipes, and staff were able to identify that, get it dug out, replace the pipes, and protect from future tree root growth. But unfortunately, the water had to be turned off for a few days, a few different times during that process when we had over 90-degree days. And you've seen some of the results of that in the park. Some of the areas pretty dry, and we've got the work cut out for us moving into the fall season in terms of getting the turf back up to green and healthy. So we are planning on addressing the turf in all of the parks once camp is done, and we hope to have the grass back and growing in the next few weeks to a couple months. So that is a big to do on our list. Don't need to go through every little thing on the list, but I did put a bit on here about the pool maintenance, and I'll just summarize it. Keeping the pool chlorinated and has been a big challenge this season with a national chlorine shortage and a national shortage in what was the other thing I said? Titanium, and getting a chlorine generator ordered. And since I wrote this report, we did get our replacement chlorine generator. So that's been very helpful, but we've been able to keep the pool up and running, and everything's been where it needs to be. It's just been a little bit tricky figuring that out. And we had a couple clarity issues for about a week and a half there that we were finally able to diagnose, and things are crystal clear now. So the staff have been great brainstorming and experimenting, and we've tackled a few of these things. And right now everything is running really well, and I think we'll be just fine to get through the remainder of the pool season without without too much drama. Knock on wood. So that's all I'll cover for now. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that anyone has on the Park or Rec side.
Kind of all encompassing. Thanks, Luke.
I just want to apologize for yelling at everybody to go to bed.
Oh.
We've all been there. I have one question. In this wonderful packet, was there something about updating our utility vehicle?
Boy, that kind of goes back. Yes, we have 2 utility vehicles. We've been budgeting. One of them is pretty aged, and we are expecting its lifespan is reaching its very end. We've actually budgeted to replace that utility vehicle for the last couple of years, but the thing just won't die, and it keeps running, and it continues to prove effective. That said, we're also not putting any additional funds into any sort of maintenance that goes beyond, change the oil, make sure the brakes work good. But it seems to keep working. It's living longer than we expect it to. I can only hope the same for me.
And is that the little putt one?
Yep.
Red?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Because my follow-up question was, how old is the UTV, and are we going to replace it? That's why.
Yeah, no, not the Kawasaki. This is the John Deere that looks a little bit more like a just kind of a maintenance vehicle. It's 6-wheel. We've had it for a long time.
Okay.
And that's why we keep it in the budget and keep pushing it over year. So that way, when it does die, I mean, they certainly rely on having both of those available to them. And when it does die, we'll replace it with a newer, more modern type of a vehicle.
Yeah,
Got it.
Marco likes to joke. It was here when Marco was hired, and it seemed like it had been around for a while. At that point, he's been here for 30 years. So
So the moral of the story is buy John Deere because they run forever.
diesel.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
So that's what we'll be
Good.
replacing it with, correct?
we'll see.
What's ever in the budget. Yeah. I would also like to just reiterate and thank you for not just the last 2 weeks and the shutdown of the summer camps, but everything that you and your staff did to prep it by being able to expand it and make all those phone calls and get more kids signed up and again, fill staff slots and to the pool staff and open up more lessons. Because as swim team was limited to be able to take kids, you guys were able to teach more swimmers, and it only thrives in our community to have strong, swimmers and community members. So thank you very much for you and your staff.
Thank you for saying that. Appreciate that.
And I'll second that and add that not only did you manage to staff it, but you managed to staff it at an amazing level when keeping with the standards of having people that all the parents want to steal as sitters. So kudos.
You can have them as long as they don't conflict with their scheduled hours here.
Nice.
Fluffy the
I'll let
dog agrees
parents
with
know.
all of that too.
That's right.
And then I also want to add to our maintenance staff for always jumping on everything at a drop of a dime. I don't want to forget about them either. So thank everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you.
If there's
I will
anything else.
third that. I will third all of the compliments. I mean, seriously, this summer has been incredible. Both of my kids have enjoyed camp. They come home and just talk about how much fun that they have every day. And it's been such a pleasure. And so, my family and I are all very, very grateful for the work that y'all did this summer. So,
Well, thank you for saying that.
No pressure. Just kidding.
Yeah, because there's next year.
Nice.
If there's nothing else, if there's more kudos, I'll turn it over to the public for comment.
1 second, please.
Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll give a kudo. Once again, it's great that our summer camps are operational and doing well. And I always love seeing that because that's such an important thing, not only for the kids, but the entire community and surrounding communities. So I think it's very special that we offer that to the community. The pool is, I've said this in the past, I'm a pool swimmer. I've been a lap swimmer forever. However, this year I've been denied that. The last 2 years I've been denied that opportunity because of the restrictions as well as the real huge cost increase. I'm very disappointed that we didn't have a more affordable option. We're doing punch passes now, but that's still kind of expensive if you're a daily swimmer. But the good thing is I've been walking a lot more and walking in our open space and enjoying that. And there's a couple of issues that I've noticed, and that's the increase of bike traffic on what once were exclusively walking trails. It seems like these electric bikes in particular really encourage people to get out. And I think we may look at issuing some, I think it'd be a good idea to have a 5 mile-an-hour speed limit in the dog leg of the park, because some people really scream down there scaring dogs and walkers, and it's just not the place for it. They can do it in other parts. Secondly, I'd like to see our open space opened up more. I'd like to see more bike trails, and I'd like to see a more conscious effort to encourage people to get out into our open space, not only as hikers, but as bikers. And I have a few thoughts on that. I did post on Nextdoor about a Bell program, and apparently this coincides well with what the Mountain Bike Coalition's doing, but I think that's something that Marinwood Park in particular, our Marinwood Community Services District could do for our community and outreach. Of course, our community has changed. We have a younger generation that grew up mountain biking, and so I expect that sport just to grow and grow and grow. Thanks for the tree work. I've been using the park quite a bit over in Quietwood Grove. I've been playing music with my friends. It's great. And we should not forget that we have a big park and lots of potential in our park for just wonderful things to make this community a better place. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay, if there's nothing else, the date of the next Park and Rec Commission meeting is August 24th. And with that, I would call for board members' items of interest, requests for future agenda items. Anybody?
Just
Okay.
what we're going to be provided with the closeout of the pool season and the camp season, and an update on what we're going to be doing in the fall. I mean, all the normal stuff that we'll be getting in the next 2 months. And, updates as things come with the facility.
Anybody else? Public?
Yeah, 1 second, please. Let's jot this down.
Yes. I think we need to talk in terms of legal compliance. There are 3 things that I'm aware of that Marinwood is not in compliance with. I mentioned the accessibility in our playground equipment. And while it's not technically a legal requirement, I think it's a good idea that we try to be as accessible as possible in our entire park, because Marinwood Park is now Central Park for our little community. Secondly, you mentioned the John Deere. I'm not sure if anyone is aware, but I will make you aware that that vehicle is illegal. It's not CARB certified. It should have been retired about 15 years ago by law. So you should simply be aware of that. So that is something that should be replaced. You're polluting with a non-compliant vehicle. There's no way that you should be using that. And then the other thing is the cargo containers that were purchased are not, you can't use them as storage units on our, as of the requirements of the building department. They are not compliant. So if you're planning to use them as big sheds, I think you're going to have a problem. And certainly there was a discussion of utilizing those as part of the fence of the maintenance facility, which would be totally non-compliant because that's a environmentally sensitive area. And it would also alter the groundwater plan that was established with for that site. So we can use them now because we're building, but they're going to have to go someplace, or you're going to have to figure out a solution for those cargo containers. So we want to be legally compliant. So in the future, I think the manager should research what I've mentioned, and I think he will find that I am telling the truth there, and that you develop a strategy and a discussion on how you're going to make adjustments. Thank you.
Okey dokey. Thank you, Stephen. If there's nothing else, Eric, I would like to open up the public comment on closed session items.
Yeah, hold on a second. I'm just resetting that. You want public comment on closed session?
That's up next.
Okay, I'm waiting to see if a hand comes up here. Yep, 1 second.
Okay, so hello? Can
Yeah,
you hear
go
me?
ahead.
So actually, I didn't see this in the agenda, but I guess you're meeting in closed session. It's really frustrating that you have so many of these closed sessions and the same report comes out. Basically, we didn't do anything. And so I just want to alert your responsibility, you guys, to your responsibility for being open and reporting out problems inside the district. Unfortunately, the transparency was not evident in the manager's report. It seemed like he's holding back, and maybe although you say that you're just discussing labor negotiations. I hope that's in fact the case, but be aware that you do have a responsibility to the public and to have it on record. And that's not a bad thing, because who knows, maybe you can figure out things that you can't figure out in closed session. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Stephen. And with that, we should go into closed session.
Hi.
Okay.
Unmuting myself. Thank you, Luke.
He already left. I'll pass it on for you, Savon. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
See you soon.